Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the AD Bait Kitchen. And any of you eagle-eyed viewers who see episode 1, you will recognise this man next to me because we are joined again from Joe from Mainline. I'm going to shake your hand again, Joe. Thank you very much for joining us again. Now, when you were here in episode 1, you kindly talked us through baking bottom baits and then a stick mix as well. So today we've got you back and we're going to be talking through high-vis pop-ups in the first bit, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so any luck on the baits you made last time, or have you been out using them?
Yeah, I've had a few fish on them, I did offer them to you.
I know. I couldn't take, I might take these ones today. I am partial.
People bite my hands off on my old baits. I can't believe you didn't take them.
I'm partial of a pop-up, so I might take these ones. But we're concentrating on pop-ups, so, and more importantly, high attract pop-ups, So, again, we're in your capable hands. You know exactly what we need and how we're going to do it. We're going to talk them through it. So I guess we should start with what they're going to need,
Yes. The list of ingredients or bits we need again is going to be eggs. Obviously, that's the starters. Our flavours, you can choose from any flavours that we make. We do the response flavours, or we do the double strength flavours. Double strength flavours are obviously stronger than the standard flavours, and the response ones they contain a kind of feed stimulant in them already. So, there's loads of choices for you to make. The powdered colours that we supply, and of course the main ingredient, which is the Polish pop-up mix. Top secret ingredients, which we can't tell you, but it's super buoyant, holds up all sorts of size of hookses and rigs and all the rest of it. It just suits so many different people's types of fishing. That's what we need. No
AD exclusive then. We can't get out of you what's inside
I'm afraid not. It'll be my head.
Right, let's get on with it. So again, are we starting with just a standard egg?
Yep, one standard egg.
Cool.
I normally pick a large egg for this, so you've got plenty of liquid.
No worries.
For the pop-up. Again, we crack it in the bowl. Or something similar.
Mixed together.
Give that a little bit of a stir.
I'm guessing it's quite important to make sure this is, mixed together. You don't want yolk and separated.
Yeah, you can actually use. Funny, that's quite a good question. You can actually use just the whites on its own.
Okay.
Because it's the better part of the egg for making harder baits.
Oh right, I'm with you.
So a lot of people do tend to use, but for me, I don't think it really makes.
You just go straight in.
That much difference, to be honest with you. So
not a problem.
That's what I use.
Right. So next flavours.
Then next flavours. Right. Just grab a bit of tissue.
A little confession to make. I have requested that we make my favourite flavour, which I believe is banoffee for me. Catches more fish than anything. So the two flavours I've asked you to use is milky toffee and banana and pear.
Yes.
I know you do actually do a banoffee.
We do, But you
can sort of customise this if you're using two different ones.
Yeah, we do a dedicated flavour, which you wouldn't have to do that. But obviously this time he's actually asked me to make some hook baits for himself. So looks like he's taking these home with him.
No worries. So there we go. I'll leave it to you. Quantity-wise, now this is important because I'm sure I asked you last time. Can you overpower them? You
can, but with what I like to do is with a high attract hook bait, I do like to add more of everything. In the finished for the finished bait.
Cool.
But what I do tend to do is I tend to use higher inclusion. Start again. What I do tend to do is I tend to use higher inclusions of ingredients. For winter fishing.
Primarily. No worries.
Than I do during the summer. My theory behind this, it's just a theory because we don't know what carp are really thinking. But my theory behind this is that in the winter, obviously, there are not that many anglers' baits out there. Not that many anglers that fish.
No, there isn't.
So, a high attract bait is gonna pump that signal out
straight to it.
Much more than a standard bait. I'm glad you turned.
It was starting to boil over.
But in the summer, obviously, the abundance of food is that much more. So you don't. In my eyes, you don't really need a high attract bait, and the baits anyway are so attractive that if they are there. They're going to be feeding and picking up your bait.
I guess in winter as well, a big approach for people is picking out singles, isn't it? So the maximum attraction in, what we making 12, 15 mil baits. It's a small bait to get attraction.
When you think it's in that in the amount of water that it's in, it's a lot.
To get them to find it. So there you go. So, enhance it, put a bit more in, and you could make some double strength ones. So what are we going with first, and mil wise?
So mil wise, we're going to do 5 mil per flavour. In one egg.
So we're going to have 10 mil of that specific banana and pear, and
I tend not to go too crazy with the flavours, only because they're chemical based. They're not natural extracts, but for me personally, I just like to have things that,
Yeah. So these are actually different from the activators we saw you use in the bottom baits. These are more sort of chemical based.
Yeah.
But smell absolutely amazing.
They're highly soluble in water, which is another thing to think about. I
guess so. That's penetrating the water layers quicker, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are in there.
So mix that together.
Mix those together.
Again, you mentioned this on the first time you were here. Everything has to be mixed into liquid, before you add any sort of powders to it, or mix in liquid.
Yeah, always make sure that your liquids go with liquids and your powders go with powders.
Smells good.
The only exception that I will say is that you can add, which is what we're going to do next, is the powdered colouring.
Right.
That goes into the egg next.
That goes into the egg next?
That's the next step.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we'll do is take the powdered colouring.
Yep. So is there a specific quantity to this? Because I can remember doing it before that I didn't put enough colour in and make the colour I wanted, so...
Yeah. No, because these are really highly concentrated colours anyway.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fluoro colour anyway. So, but what I tend to do is I add around about 20 ml.
Right.
I normally take it off the spoon, so I'd add 4 teaspoons of this.
Oh, so quite a bit then,
which is
actually.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, because I can remember when I made them, I used hardly anything actually, and they still came out, but they were more of a washed out colour, which we're trying to achieve here. A real high visual bait.
Yeah. And then what will happen is once they're finished and they're in the water, because all the colourings and everything else is water soluble.
Yeah.
The water will penetrate the bait and it will draw out the colour and it will draw out the flavour altogether. Oh
right, so the colour will actually leak out the bait as well?
Yeah, so what you'll have is you'll have a really high plume of flavours and colour coming out. So not only will you have a flavour stimulation, you'll have a high
visual as well, yeah. And is that because you've put quite a lot in, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. That's why you're putting so much in, I guess.
Yeah.
Always like this, that would mean you think that's going to make an orange bait, promise you, that will come out yellow when we make them.
Yeah.
And you've also got here a bottle of Hydra Sweet. So I definitely said this last time. The activators we use for bottom baits, you didn't use a sweetener.
Yep, no, that's correct.
With this, is it again because they're more of an artificial flavour, you are going to use a sweetener?
Yeah, and also, no, the way it actually works is that the flavours, if you taste the flavour out of any of those bottles, you'll find that they taste quite sour. Bitter. They don't actually taste like they smell.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you add a sweetener to the flavour, then suddenly it becomes more of a
just rounds
the flavour that it smells. It rounds it off, but it just works by doing that,
Yeah, they are quite bitter, aren't they, without the sweetener?
Yeah,
I guess.
very much so. Yeah.
Which nicely, actually, making bottom baits with activators, you've mixed it all into one, so you don't need to.
Yeah.
And how much of this goes in?
We do about 3 ml, which is a little bit tricky on the spoon, but you can kind of
roughly get. I guess it's not like you don't have to be to the exact mil. You can play around with it, can you?
Yeah, I mean you can be really particular if you want to. I mean, again, if you really want a really sweet bait, you could add 10 mil of that. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got to be too fussy about it. You could, if you wanted something that's really underflavoured for sort of summer and spring fishing, you could add just 1 mil of it.
Okay.
So it just depends what you want to do. It's your own personal preference.
I do always like that because basically with bait making, it's your vision, it's your ideas, what you come up with, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no, this is the right way, these flavours don't go with this flavour.
No.
It's whatever you come up with.
Yeah, it's all about learning. The only way you're going to learn is by experimenting and adding things, taking things away and seeing how you go,
Yeah, exactly.
Trying things like that.
And if you do stumble across something that's working and you've made your own, you're probably going to be the only one using it, aren't you?
Yeah,
so it's a real edge.
Yeah, and one of the other things I really want to put forward as well is when you are doing your own bait, any of your bait making, is write things down.
So you remember.
Get your phone, write things down. You've added 3 mil of that, 5 mil of that. It's really easy to forget when you've got so much choice.
Yeah.
And after a while, you do collect bait, because you don't use all that in one go.
No. Yeah.
One of those bottles will last for a long time. Yeah. So it's really important to sort of, you'll end up with like 10 bottles on the shelf, and you don't know
how much you've got of each. That makes sense because a pot of these high-vis pop-ups, especially if you use in winter, you could last you the whole winter, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Time you come back to the next season, I see what you mean. You've completely forgotten.
Yeah. Mind you, these baits, I mean, once these are made, you'll need to make some more because you'll end up catching something.
Ah, well, I'll hold you to that
There
one.
you
If
go.
it don't work, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
Right, so is it just simply a case of the mix next, yeah?
Yep, add the mix next.
There we go.
Thanks very much. And all we do again, a bit like we made the hook baits, is again just add small amounts.
Small amounts. So you can always add more, but again, it's harder to go the other way, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't really take it out once you put it in. And that's one of the most common questions I get asked about that is like, I've put,
how much for this?
I found my baits went really dry and I couldn't roll them properly, and how do I get around that problem? But to start with, just add small amounts. Don't go crazy. That whole tub will make thousands of hook baits, literally thousands of hook baits.
So there's no rush with it either, is it? You're better off to take it in a slower process than you are trying to quickly, I'll make these up and then get to work or something. You're best to have yourself some time, sit down and do it properly, because this is going to be, this is the main thing that's going on your rig, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. They don't take that long to make, to be fair. Once you've got your head around what you've got to do, and you've got the ingredients and your rolling table and your gun and stuff like that, once you've got your head around it, you've done it a few times, it just becomes second nature.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good at it. I can see you've done it a few times. So I noticed you use, to start with, using a fork, yeah? And then when you get to a certain period, you're going to use your hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a point, fortunately or unfortunately, that you've got to get a bit messy because the fork doesn't do it all for you.
Yeah, so if you're making, say, crab shelf appeal or something, sensitive shelf appeal, not the brine, but if you're making something like this, get your hands in there with it, doesn't matter.
Definitely. I mean, what you can do actually is you can use those surgical gloves. Yeah, your surgical gloves.
Yeah.
They're a really, really good idea. I normally wear them at the shows because I've got my hands caked in so many different flavours and stuff.
I must admit, actually, when I first done it, I dyed my hands because this dye's pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
So good little tip that. Yeah, surgical gloves stop you getting smell and colour on your hands as well.
Yeah, they're not that much, Melissa. So we've got to a point now where
it's starting to So visually for me, it's crumbling a little bit. Yeah.
So you got to the point where there's not the fork isn't going to do much really. So.
This is where. See, now you've not picked a nice flavour, are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank God it wasn't crab.
So now so you're trying to get a paste-like consistency. Yeah. That's the end goal.
Yep. As you can see, we've got loads of mix left in that tub.
Yeah, there is loads left.
Tons left in there. This is a 1 egg mix, so it's it's not cost you a lot of money to put it together, and there's going to be enough pop-ups here for. Yeah. Well, all season really.
I mean, you haven't even used a third of that, have you?
No.
So you can see what you're saying has made a lot of baits.
Yeah. Now I'm wishing I had the gloves.
I said that dyed your hands, didn't I? I've talked it up for you. It still looks orange. I still can't believe that every time anyone's played with this, it will go yellow after the cooking process. Yeah.
It's just one of those colours. It's just the way they're made.
Yeah.
It's a bit like. Like black, doesn't matter what colour you get, blacks normally tend to go blue, or they have a little tiny bit of blue in them, because when they're made with those two colours, like blue, I think it's blue and brown, I think they're made.
Right, okay,
something like that. And that's just how they're made. The only proper black that you can actually get is a squid ink, which comes as a natural extract from the squid.
And then for anyone, you've done this quite a lot, you're going to get it right, but anyone who slightly gets this wrong, as we mentioned before, you can always add water or egg if it's too dry.
Yes, if it becomes too crumbly, you can just literally put it under the sink, or add a little bit, or have a bit, have a cup of water by the side of you, and dip it into the cup or
almost
something.
just a real quick dip and then knead it back through it.
Yeah, don't hold it under the tap and soak it in water again. You don't want it soaking. If it's just a bit crumbly, then that's what you need to do, So
I'm guessing as well, you need to get this right because you've put quite a high concentration of bait in there. You want that spread out through every bait, don't you? So you want it to be even.
Yes.
So hence why you mix in pretty vigorously to make sure it's...
mixing this is the most important stage, getting it the right consistency. The paste is the right consistency. Everything's mixed in there correctly. The flavours in there and the sweetener will now be in that whole ball of paste rather than just a bit in the middle.
Even out, yeah. Smells very, very good. It's going to catch some fish.
That's about right.
Are we there? Cool. So I'll remove this tray for you. So process now is into the gun.
Into the gun. Just roll that. That's a bit of a sausage.
Yep. And again, this is going to make quite a lot of baits, isn't it? But you could roll them by hand. It's going to be less consistent and a much more time-conscious process. But if you have access to a gun and a rolling table, one, it creates consistency with the size of baits, and two, obviously, it saves you an awful lot of time hand rolling them.
Exactly. Just place up into the gun.
Okay. Are you squeezing the air out there? Thumb over the top, squeezing the air out.
Out of there, thumb over the top, just let that don't come out the top.
Yep.
And then you're ready to roll.
Rolling table in.
Get our table.
I'll clear this up for you.
Put your hands up a bit.
Try and make you some room.
Sit. There you go.
There you go. So it's a case of literally squeezing sausage the whole way across the table.
Yep.
Top layer of the roll goes on.
Yep. Just give that sausage a little stretch.
Yep.
Top of the gun, top of the table, give a little roll. And just...
Yeah, spot on. So they come out pretty good straight away with very minimal effort with the rolling table, actually.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hard work.
There isn't. It's done pretty quickly. For anyone who hasn't seen the first episode, you give us a couple of tips that, one, if it's getting stuck in here,
yep.
What would you do?
You can either oil the table or you can dust the table down.
Okay.
If you mean if the boilie,
so if you're trying to roll and they don't roll properly.
Yeah. What you can do is you can get some of that pop-up mix.
Yep.
And literally just sprinkle a little bit on.
Yep.
And it'll just stop them from sticking to the table.
Nice.
Not too bad.
So this is 16 mil, 15?
It's 16.
16 mil, yeah. So again, it's your personal choice. If you're going to roll 12 mils, I guess you're getting more baits per one egg mix.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. And I mean, if you wanted to change the size of the nozzle, before you roll all your paste out,
yeah,
you can always just change the nozzle over, get your other table if you've got another table.
Oh, yeah, so you could make a
so
couple of different sizes out of the same one egg mix, yeah. Because
yeah.
I mean, it does make quite a lot of baits, doesn't it? A one egg mix for a high attract hook bait. You know, I mean, none of this is getting fed. This is all hook baits.
Yes.
That's going to be a lot of hook baits, isn't it? A one egg mix.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Again, lay your sausage on the table, make sure it's the right size.
Yep.
And literally on the table. And any offcuts, what you can do is you can save all the offcuts.
Yep, and you can go back in your gun and guess
back in the gun later at another time.
It's worth mentioning at this point we've got the water ready to boil. So I'm guessing if you didn't have that ready, would they dry out a bit too much? Or?
Yeah, they would. It's important to get that boiling, and ready for them to go in straight away.
So try and get everything, to hand ready. Yeah. So if you are going to boil these up, then it's all ready for you.
So they're ready to boil. We'll leave that little bit of paste.
That's fine. Yeah, we've got enough hook baits there.
Yeah, for the time being.
So I'll get my timer out. How long are we cooking for?
About the same sort of time, 2.5 to 3 minutes.
2.5 to 3 minutes, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll reset and press go, so you can go away. And it is really important, we mentioned this last time, to make sure that water is boiling, yeah?
Yes. And what I tend to do is, once that gets towards sort of like 2 minutes, I'll get one of the boilies out, one of the pop-ups out, and I'll just blow it, get it to dry, fairly quick, just to cool down a little bit, and just feel it for consistency. If I can squash it in my fingers, it's not boiled quick, it's not boiled long enough.
Yeah.
But if it's kind of like rubbery to the texture, then that's perfect.
Cool.
I'll just take them out. It does depend as well. Sometimes if you add, especially if you're making high leakage ones, you put in the amount of powder covering that I'm putting in.
Yeah.
It can affect the rolling a little bit sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, or the boiling.
So you have to play around with it a little bit and just make sure. Yeah.
But it's once you've done it a few times, you get used to it, and it's just
So with it being, this might be a very basic question, but with it being a bright high attract hook bait.
Yeah.
Are you worried about it being as hard as, say, a bottom bait, or do you want it the same, or?
No, I want it to be harder than
You want it to be harder being a pop-up, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because in the bottom baits, the attractors are working already because of the soft core.
Yeah.
They're a bottom bait. In the pop-ups, the attractors that are working in these are the powders, really.
Okay. I'm with you.
Soluble powders that are pushing out the flavours. So that's why I want these harder.
I'll just start to tidy up and I'll get you a table ready because they're looking like they're what we've had 1 minute 30 so far. I noticed you're moving them quite a lot as well.
Yeah, well, obviously when they pop up, you've only got half of that bait in,
Oh, yeah.
in the actual
thinking.
water.
Yeah.
So you want to kind of, you're almost turning them over, really, you know, as if you would be frying donuts.
Yeah.
Fried donuts. Like that, sure, I've never fried a donut, but I'm pretty sure.
You get the idea of it. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Then would you? A great tip. This is my favourite one of your tips you gave us in your first episode. Again, for anyone who's not seen it, you sometimes reuse this water, yeah, for other things.
Yes.
So stick mixes, mix and ground bait, stuff like that. All that flavours in there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, why not? What's the point of just pouring it down the sink?
Yeah.
Complete waste, isn't it?
Yeah, especially if you
might as well do something with it.
Spent decent money on getting yourself some flavours. If you've got enhanced water, make sure you use it. So we're at 220 now. Sorry, I'm distracting you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So what I'd normally do is I'd normally take one out.
Yep.
Give you a bit of a blow and just see consistency-wise. And that's about right. It's almost like rubber, so it's not.
Yeah, it is. It looks quite actually. Yeah, it's surprising how sort of springy that is just visually.
Springy.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
Okay,
But
so
250 will be perfect.
So a little bit longer, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're rolling on.
That's it.
They are looking and smelling good.
What we got now?
So 250, we've just hit.
That's it.
Straight out.
So they can come out.
I'll turn the gas off for you. It's hot enough in here already. So while you're emptying them, the next process from here then? Dry them?
Next process from here will be dry them.
Yep.
Very similar to what we did with the bottom baits. If you've got a hairdryer, give them a hairdryer.
Yep.
If not, just put them onto a towel and let them dry again.
Cool.
Leave them for 24 hours, and then obviously the next morning, take them off the towel and put them into an air dry bag.
No worries. And would you rehydrate these or re-flavour them with any of the liquids we used earlier, or are you happy that that's good enough?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, to be fair.
Yeah? So you wouldn't drip any more flavours on?
No, I mean, that's had a lot of flavour. They are super high attract, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got lots of like flavour levels in them, lots of powder colorants. I don't need any more added to them, really. I mean, you could if you wanted to. Again, it's trial and error, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go somewhere and you put that on and you don't catch nothing, and you did add something onto it, another one that was.
You'd always be worried.
Yeah, it's hard to say it, but personally, on a personal level, I wouldn't bother.
You don't. You just leave them like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So basically, from here, it's keep them moving over a couple of days, dry them completely.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, into a tub, and that's your hook baits for your season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Spot on. Well, potentially my hook baits, I'm going to take these out, or we could run a competition at the end of the video to name the flavour that Joe has just made for us there, and we could pick a winner and send you these exact pop-ups out for the winner. So I'm getting a nod from behind the camera, so it looks like they've been taken away from me. Someone's going to potentially win these, but we'll get these off the table, we'll get them drying, catch up with us in part 2.
Hurry up and guess.
And we're going to be picking Joe's brains on more things bait related. Right, okay Joe, so we've seen you make the perfect pop-up. So for the second part, I want to pick your brains on something that's become very popular in carp fishing, and that is toppers.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to make some toppers.
Yep.
And in true Blue Peter fashion, we kept exactly the same mix if we've mixed up the pop-ups.
Yes.
But you're just going to turn them into toppers, yeah?
Yes, that's right.
So you fire away with that and tell us what we're doing.
Okay.
But basically, for anyone who's not sure, just explain what a topper is to start with.
Okay, so a topper is generally used as a bit of a sight attractor on top of a normal bait, whether that be a bottom bait or even another pop-up for that matter. You can add two together, you know, create different colour. But it is normally a bit of a sight topper, something that just pulls that. You know, if you're fishing, say for instance, a load of dark baits and you've got a little a bottom bait that you want to try and match the hatch, if you like. If you wanted to just add a little tiny fleck or a smaller bit of colour to that bottom bait, then this is the way you
use a topper.
Yeah.
Cool. So, like I said, kept a little bit of paste aside.
Yep.
So it's exactly the same as a pop-up. So pretty much a topper is always going to be buoyant.
Yeah.
And are you trying to use your popper to take some weight out of your bottom bait, or are you just using it for a visual reference as to where your hook bait is?
Yeah, no, generally I'm using it to take a bit of weight out of my hook bait. To sort of kind of create a bit of a wafter.
Bit of a wafter really, with a topper, that's fine.
Yeah.
So with this mix, you kept it in a bag because one, you don't want it to dry out.
That's right, yeah. That's correct.
So you've got a little device with you that you've... I
have.
I think you made yourself.
I did, yes.
It's basically a little plunge, and all you're doing is you're going to punch out discs, I'm guessing.
Proper Blue Peter fashion again, like you say. Literally, there's a little bit of a plumbing pipe, that's all that is, 15mm plumbing pipe.
Yep.
and half a plug, raw plug if you like,
with it, yeah.
just something to push it through.
Yeah.
Just literally use that as a bit of a punch. It just saves. You can roll the sausage out like we've shown you before, cut it into those little sections, and stand there trying to get different shapes. That's fine, but it just makes it a little bit easier. Use the part of my
your rolling pin.
My rolling pin,
nice.
literally. Roll the paste out to whatever thickness I want. In this case, I want them relatively thin, so I just want toppers.
Yeah.
If you look down the paste, around about 3 mil, I suppose, just roughly. Again, these haven't got to be completely spot on.
No, so I guess the whole point about these is exactly what you said. They haven't got to be absolutely spot on, have they? They can be different sizes, different thicknesses. It's your own imagination. And I guess it's one of these ones that you'd have to play around with, in the fact that if you want it to be more buoyant and lift an 18mm bait up, let's say, you perhaps have to roll this a bit thicker, yeah?
It depends really, like you said, it depends what you want, and it's the whole point of the what we've been going through, isn't it? The whole point of being able to do exactly what you want.
Make it so
colour wise,
your colour, your flavour, your size to lift up your hook bait, exactly that. So, I mean, it goes without saying again, toppers have become so popular that Mainline now produce the matching toppers for link, cell, hybrid and so on, don't they?
We do our own range of toppers. But this is just like, again, a bespoke way of making your own.
So I mean, if you've got, like I asked you to do, make yourself a favourite pop-up that I've got, you can make a topper just as well, like you said.
Exactly, you can make a topper to match, and if you can see, that's like absolutely perfect. Maybe a little bit thick, but if you wanted to, you could roll that out again a little bit more, make it a bit thinner. But, I really, really like those, to be honest with you. They're just a great shape,
Cool. Well, I won't let you punch them out because it's quite a slow process. But those ones there, chuck those in the pan. I'll get a timer out again. So is it still 2.5 minutes, even though they're a lot smaller?
2.5 minutes, It's always the same sort of time.
So when you're ready, water's boiling, and we'll get those in.
Carefully.
So the other thing that I want to ask you, not only are toppers used... They do look good. Make sure you get the right colour. So the other thing I wanted to double check, there's no reason you couldn't use these on zigs, I'm guessing. They're going to be buoyant enough? Yes,
definitely, Well, this is from the pop-up mix. This is the pop-up mix, isn't it? We haven't changed it or anything. Polaris is superbly buoyant. And you can use this for zig fishing or anything you like.
So that was when I first see the Mainline toppers come out, when toppers got really quite popular in the carp scene, putting on bottom baits. That was, from an outside point of view, that was like, I'd use them for zig fishing. And
definitely.
Just wanted to check that you think these would be buoyant enough.
Without doubt. I mean, the other really good thing about it, as well as something else to show a lot of people at the shows, is that this paste, before we actually boil it, is really soluble. So dropped in cold water, that breaks down really quick. So another really good tip is, especially if you're fishing with zigs or even bottom baits or pop-ups, whatever you like, but you can wrap that around a hook bait. Now, I know paste has been wrapped around hook baits for a long time as a tactic, as a tip, but in zig fishing, you can wrap that around a hook bait. When that goes out and it's sitting up in the surface layers or close, or wherever you're fishing that extremity, it will slowly break off and leak off.
I like that.
But it will leave your pop-up still there. So it doesn't affect the buoyancy you've got. It doesn't matter what hook bait. If anything, it's going to really
be more buoyant.
More buoyant.
I like that. I've never thought of that, because you see loads of people wrapping paste around bottom baits. But as long as your paste is buoyant, which it is, you can wrap your paste around zigs.
Exactly.
That is definitely going to be used. I'm nicking that one. You'll see a video produced on ADTV soon saying that I come up with that one. So
just remember what you're at first.
So cooking out, we've got about 20 seconds left, but pretty much they are.
That's about right.
It's a bit smaller, so they are done. I'll give you a little tub.
Stick them in the tray.
So they are the ones, and if I've got some standard bottom baits here, I'll borrow one of those off you. So again, make them the correct size, but that is the traditional topper, what you'd imagine it being on top of a bottom bait, and that's just going to, pop it up snowman style, counterbalance it, play around with it, and it's going to be putting more fish on the bank, isn't it?
Perfect.
Well, that is a comprehensive look at 2 different styles of bait and some really good tips in there. So thank you very much, Joe.
You're welcome.
I'm going to get orange hands, but it's been a great pleasure. It's been some really good information, and I'm sure you're going to be back.
Glad you enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed it out there as well.
Very, very good. Thank you very much.
Smashing.